room is a really wonderful space that is able to adapt to the children that come and visit the room. That's what makes it exceptional. We have beautiful exhibits all over that are hands-on, hands-in, great experiences, great sensory experiences for children of all abilities. We really look to make sure the quality of the experience in the room makes it a welcoming space for children. So whether, a child is on the autism spectrum or has Down syndrome or has a developmental or physical disability, you really want to make sure that number one, there's not too many people in the space that could cause it to be overwhelming, and that there are different activities that really support their learning.
To the seashore. This is my grandma. Where's your grandma?
My name is Elaine Stillerman, and I'm Luke's proud mom. I'm part of the cog of this large wheel known as the Brooklyn Children's Museum that put together this incredible space. When Luke was 4 months old, I noticed he didn't have any core strength to pull himself up and reach a toy and mouth it. You know how kids learn their environment by putting things in their mouths. So he used to sit on this bouncy seat and he would just punch at the beads, just flap at the beads, when I was hoping that he would grab the bar and lift himself up. So at 4 months I noticed that he was known as a floppy baby, the Raggedy Andy. If you held him in the cradle position, he just would hang. His limbs would just hang. And at 9 months we went to the pediatrician, and at first she thought it was cerebral palsy, which she then decided it wasn't. It is Fragile X, which is an inherited syndrome. 1 in 259 women carry it throughout the world. 1 in 800 men will pass it on to all of their daughters. It's on the X chromosome, and it is responsible for autistic-type behavior, developmental delays, anxiety, cognitive impairment, seizure disorder, you name it. I'll never forget, it was the beginning of Autism Awareness Month 5 years ago. And I went to the counter to pay my admission, and I mentioned that he was age 11 at the time. I mentioned we were going to go to the toddler room. And I was told that he was too old and too big to go to the toddler room. And I got absolutely incensed. I said, developmentally, that is the room that is appropriate for him. And Luke had a meltdown, and Mama had a meltdown. And I wrote voracious letters, made many, many phone calls, and 6 months after the fact, I had to sit down with the president of the museum, Georgina Ngozi, who was president at that time. And she heard me, she cared. And 2 years after that, the sensory room was born.
Let's move it over a bit. In the development of the sensory room, we brought together parents and professionals from all over the field that work with children with autism in particular, from occupational therapists, physical therapists, and all sorts of wonderful people that came in and gave us advice about how to develop this room. And what we learned is that we need to find activities that's really going to enhance their experiences, because just watching a ball drop through a hole and knowing that it's going to go through that area and come back around is developing the mind. And for them, it's a wonderful experience to feel successful. So you want to find those successes and you want to build on them. Whether you find it through music, whether you find it through a child that just likes to watch a ball roll, you want to find ways to build those successes.
I need to spell my name.
What happens in a place like this, in a magical place like this, is a child is allowed to explore and discover for himself, for herself. And the very qualified staff just encourages, or very often just watches in amazement as a child blossoms.
The thing that makes this space exceptional is that it's an inclusive space. So many times you want to know, hey, can my child really interact with typically developing children? Yes, yes, yes. We want our children to experience the world and not feel excluded, but feel included in a space, especially in our museums and our other cultural institutions. So that's what makes this space an exceptional space, and our museum an exceptional museum.